Okay, in the last video, we looked at some of the evidence that we have for evolution as a theory. And we're going to finish off this chapter with a discussion of how humans fit into that, because one of the tenets of the theory of evolution is that all organisms and all life forms are related to one another and have an evolutionary history. So we're going to look at some of the evolutionary history of humans. So we know that we are in domain eukarya. We're made of eukaryotic cells, so we're related to all other eukaryotes in that way. We're in kingdom Animalia. We are animals. We're in phylum Chordata, having a backbone. Class Mammalia. Order Primata, which we're going to focus on more heavily in the next couple of slides, so all with the other primates. And then we're in family Hominidae with the other hominids, which we'll see a couple of examples of those. And hominids are what are some of our evolutionary ancestors and how we accumulated some of our traits that are uniquely human. We're in genus Homo, and we are at the species level considered Homo sapiens. So we are currently the only member of the genus Homo left, but there were others that existed throughout evolutionary history, and we'll look at those. So humans are in the order Primata, which contains all primates, and primates are characterized by having a few of these common traits. So all primates have highly movable limbs with 5 digits each, and at least one set of limbs is going to have an opposable digit. So in the case of humans, it's obviously our thumbs, but in chimpanzees, both their thumbs and their large toe on their hind legs are also opposable. And these opposable digits, they give primates the ability to grasp objects. So that's one of our skills that we're able to accomplish through that adaptation. All primates also have binocular vision, which means both of our eyes are facing the front of our head. So this is able to give us depth perception and lets us accurately judge the distance between objects. This would be important for a chimpanzee to be able to jump from branch to branch. And it also would have enabled us as early humans to develop hunting skills, being able to see long distances and throw some kind of weapon or spear maybe at a potential something to eat. Primates also have large and complex brains compared to other members of the animal kingdom. So while all primates are considered to have large and complex brains within the order Primata, there's also a wide range of complexity. So we're obviously going to see humans on the upper end of that complexity scale. And then lastly, primates also have a reduced reproductive rate compared to other members of the animal kingdom. Primates typically have only single births, and the time that offspring spend as juveniles is much longer than most other mammals. And that's because there's a greater emphasis on learned behavior and complex social interactions among all primates. And all primate infants and children they have to develop those complex social skills in order to be successful in their population. Because humans and chimpanzees, for example, or the gorilla, for example, here in this image, are both primates, they share all of those characteristics. But there are obviously many differences between a human and a gorilla as well. So one big difference is that humans walk upright, and while gorillas will walk on all 4 limbs. And there are several changes in homologous structures that were inherited from a common ancestor but were altered due to the selective pressure of the environment. And those changes allow for these large physical differences. So for example, the human spine is S-shaped, while the gorilla spine only has a slight curve and is mostly straight. A human's pelvis is the shape of a bowl, while a gorilla is longer, more narrow. Our knees, human knees, can support more weight than a gorilla knee, and that's because the gorilla's weight is more evenly distributed, whereas our knees will carry all of our weight from standing upright. And our feet are arched, while gorilla's feet are flat. All of these are homologous structures, but are shaped differently to perform slightly different functions due to the different selective pressures that we've experienced. So while we're in the same order, through that process of natural selection and change over time leading to evolution of new species, we're going to accumulate these large differences among species within the same order. So while we're in the same order as gorillas and chimps, we are the only living member of our own genus Homo. Many other members of the genus have been discovered through fossils and remains, but our species, Homo sapiens, is unfortunately the only living example. It is thought that our most recent line of descent began with the genus Australopithecus, specifically the finding of the Australopithecus africanus. And the remains of that species show that they did walk upright, but that the proportions of their limbs were more ape-like than with longer arms than legs. So kind of like an intermediate. It's been described as being ape-like above the waist. It had a very small brain and then being human-like below the waist because the pelvis was oriented for bipedal or upright posture. So one of those kind of like links between how we would have accumulated traits from being more chimpanzee or gorilla-like to being more human-like. And then we can jump to a member of our own genus, an early member of our genus that we have a lot of fossil evidence for, which is Homo habilis. And it has a much larger brain than Australopithecus, and their teeth show that they had a more omnivorous diet, similar to us as modern humans. Other items found with Homo habilis remains indicated that they used tools, which is another trait of more modern humans. Habilis means handyman, so these were kind of the first tool users. As we get closer to a modern human through time, we have Homo erectus, which had an even larger brain than Homo habilis and also a flatter face, more similar to the modern human. Fossils of Homo erectus have been found in Africa, Asia, and Europe, so indicating that migration became more widespread among that species. And then our most recent ancestors include Neanderthals, which actually, they had a larger brain than modern humans. And it was once thought that Homo sapiens came in and kind of outcompeted Neanderthals and put them into extinction, but new genetic evidence suggests that Homo sapiens contain many of the remnants of the Neanderthal genome. So we have some Neanderthal DNA within our own genome in certain populations, which indicates that maybe they interbred more frequently than we thought. But eventually, Homo sapiens did overtake the Neanderthal lineage, and that is why we are all that is left of our genus. Okay, so that concludes our discussion of human evolution. Of course, if you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to reach out, and I hope you enjoy our video lab for this week.